Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada, on the shores of Lake Erie. And if you'd like to check out the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. And if you'd like to send me an email, same email that we've had for nearly 30 years now, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And to watch the X-Zone TV show on Simul TV, www.simultv.com. My guest this hour, X-Zone Nation, is Alex Reynolds, and I've had the pleasure of knowing this man for a number of years. I first met Alex when he was the entertainment reporter at CHCH-TV in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now, Alex is a very unique individual. He has had the opportunity of speaking to the who's who in the entertainment industry, as well as very famous politicians. His interviews include former Prime Minister Paul Martin, Tom Cruise, Penelope Cruz, Mel Gibson, Linda Evans, Joan Collins, Gregory Peck, Harry Belafonte, Cleo Lane, Ben Affleck, Ray Liotta, Mel Brooks, and the list goes on and on and on. Joining me now from Hamilton, Ontario, is Alex Reynolds. And Alex, welcome to the X-Zone.
I appreciate this very much, Rob. We're connecting with you once again.
It has been a long time, my friend, and I have very fond memories of the conversations that we had in the halls of CHCH over the years. So this is my way of letting the listeners know about a man I have a lot of respect for, a true professional in the industry. And my goodness, you've done radio, you've done TV, you are a connoisseur of the arts and the entertainment industry. How did you get started in broadcasting, Alex?
Well, excuse me. It was very, very difficult. As a child, I had always imagined and been fascinated by radio.
Mm-hmm.
And as a child at that time, I would take a broom whenever company came to our home and pretend I was a radio announcer. It was something I always had wanted to get involved in. My family, brother, sister, mother, and dad, they were not geared toward the arts. There was no interest in that. So I was born with this, I guess, as it became a passion. And so I would pretend I was a radio announcer with a broom and in front of people that came to visit us. I suppose now when I look back upon it, it was kind of embarrassing, but that's the way flames start, with a little spark, and that's what it was for me. So that was before television, and as I grew up, I had always longed to be in radio, always listened to radio, and at night and during the day whenever I could, in school and later on when I was working, doing different jobs. In high school, I only got halfway through grade 10 because then I had a physical problem. I grew 6 inches in 1 year, and my system collapsed. So that was the end of school for me. And when I finally got out of hospital a number of months later, the desire for school was gone, so I enrolled in a night classes at Hamilton Business College, which is where I learned typing, et cetera, that sort of thing. And so I was doing odd jobs and being on the loose, and eventually I thought, I'm going to see if there's any way I can get into radio. That was before there were schools and classes and educational material for radio people, just like colleges and that kind of thing. So I went knocking on doors, and of course, not having any experience, just the desire, that did not work. But eventually, I ended up in Guelph, Ontario, just as a salesperson. And now I am not a salesperson. How I got in there now, I don't remember how. But at night, I'd go back and listen, sit in with the night disc jockey, the evening disc jockey, and then watch. And he would let me kind of join him. He didn't introduce me on air, what I was trying to do, and that kind of thing. You may remember Bob Macadorey.
Oh, my goodness. There's a name I haven't heard in a while.
He became a very famous rock jock in Toronto years later. Well, he was just at CJOY radio station in Guelph at that time, and he would show me what was going on, and then he eventually let me start reading promotional announcements, that kind of thing, not commercials, but promotional announcements. So that was my first indication there that, yes, I'm on the right track. And so I was there for a number of months, and one evening it was a Sunday night, and I was sitting there in the studio in the control room with the jock. It wasn't Bob that night because he was off on the weekend. And the telephone rang, maybe about 10 o'clock at night. And it was the radio station in St. Thomas, Ontario, which is a number of miles just outside of London, Ontario.
Right.
Their hockey team was in Guelph playing that night. And the program director was doing the news, and he had called to get the score so they could put it on the 11 o'clock news and the sports. So he said, by the way, and I had answered the phone, so I gave him the information, and he asked if there's anybody there available. They had an opportunity for an all-night show disc jockey. I said, well, I'm trying to learn radio. I'm the only one available. He says, come and see me this week. I went up, and he hired me right away and then threw me on the air all night. I had no idea what the heck to do. And it was by instinct and
Right.
that kind of thing.
And I believe that was at CHLO.
CHLO in St. Thomas, yes.
Yeah, well, one of my gigs in doing the X Zone was at CJBK in London,
Okay.
just on the other side of the 401.
And that's right. And their CFPL was the big station there, too.
That's
wasn't
right,
it?
yeah. And CFPL also had radio and television, so that was pretty
That's
cool.
Right. Yeah.
So how long did you do radio, and how did you make the transition from radio to television?
Well, then I was thrown on all night in St. Thomas, and one night the phone rang like 3 or 4 in the morning, and it was Tom Darling, who was the head of CHML radio in Hamilton. CHML was very big at that time.
Right.
And he was a very astute, knowledgeable, very hard-headed radio man, much admired and respected in Canadian radio, right coast to coast. And he called me. He says, I'm hearing you on the air. You're awfully rough, but I kind of like what I hear. He says, would you come to Hamilton and talk to me? Well, I just about went through the roof because I thought, here is a major opportunity. So I went to see him, and he hired me. He says, what we have here, at that time, CHML Radio in Hamilton was every evening had foreign broadcasts on. So they had local representatives of the people in Hamilton, Italian, German, Polish, etc., and they each had an hour show every night in their own language. And they'd play the music and talk about the country and culture and that kind of thing. My job was to sit there and do the commercials in English because I didn't understand any of this. So I did that for, I can't recall now, close to a year every night. And it was because of this that I met my wife, because one night I was doing the Dutch show, doing the English part of the Dutch show, and they were having a beauty contest in Hamilton, Miss Dutch Hamilton beauty contest. And Miss Canada at that time was going to be in town to crown the winner. And I was asked to be a judge. So that night went and I backstage, and I was introduced to Miss Canada. She was from Ancaster originally, a farm girl. And I was quite taken with her, but never thought anything more about it. I was going with another girl at the time, and she was out in the audience, that kind of thing. And so then that was the end of that. And about 6 months later, Tom Darling said, look, Alex, we're changing the broadcast here, the format here, and we can't use you anymore. But he says, I'm going to keep you on salary and try and get you a job.
All right, Alex, we've got to take a commercial break here. Please stand by. And Exonation, when we come back, more of this amazing story with our very special guest, Alex Reynolds, former CHCH entertainment reporter. He's a patron of the arts, and he has talked to some of the most interesting people in the world. And we're also going to get Alex's take on sci-fi later this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Path Home Shamanic Art School proudly presents the Gathering of Shaman 2019 Fall Retreat, Manifestation Samhain. Join me, certified shamanic instructor Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magnificent Colorado Mountains this November 2nd and 3rd for a life-changing event. Participate in unique teachings and ceremonies that'll put the power and magic of shamanic manifestation into your hands. Sit in circle with like-minded individuals, sharing group energy and the power it generates. Classes will be held in a facility next to the beautiful, majestic Arkansas River, further empowering the experience. Space is limited, so reserve your spot today. For more information, visit findyourpathhome.com or email touchin@findyourpathhome.com.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the XLM Rob McConnell. Alex Reynolds is our special guest to this hour, and if you'd like to find out more about Alex, visit his website, alexpeople.com. All right, Alex, when you and I left before the commercial break, you were just telling us about, you were a judge at the Miss Canada contest, but unfortunately, CHML was changing its format, and they kept you on salary, but they were going to try and find you something else.
That's right. In the meantime, after that incident of the night when I met Miss Canada, then they put me on the all-night show, and that's where I really started developing ad-libbing and that kind of thing on a major radio station. And I was mentored there by people like Gordie Tapp.
Oh my goodness!
Recall him on Hee Haw.
Yeah,
he was one of the announcers on the station, and Norm Marshall and Perc and Paul Hanover. All these guys were really, really major stars in this town. They all mentored me along. Finally, I was let go there, but I was kept on salary, as I said, and he got me a job at CKPC AM and FM in Brantford, Ontario, which is a home for, a very famous hockey player, as you know.
Sure, Wayne Gretzky, yeah.
Not very far outside of Hamilton.
No, not at all.
So I was there for 33 and a half years. And one day, about 6 months after I'd met Miss Canada, she walked into the radio station in Brantford. She had been hired to do the reception. And we remembered each other, and 6 months after that, we got married.
My
and that
goodness.
was 58 years ago.
So it's fair to say that you believe in love at first sight.
It seemed that way, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Certainly does.
And so I was there for 33 and a half years, and while I was there, that's when things really got started for me, and my interests started mounting, and I thought, maybe I can go somewhere with this. And they gave me the opportunity there, and I talked to management. I said, I've always been interested in the arts. I would like to be able to go to Toronto, catch the big shows, and do interviews with the stars that come there. And so they went along with it, and that's where I developed my interview abilities kind of thing. And that was something that I will always remember, because it was allowed me to open up and tell people or show people my passion for the arts, particularly the performing arts, live theater, live concerts, opera, and that kind of thing, and jazz artists, and that started working, and that's where I started developing all of these and meeting these various famous peoples. Along the way, CHML, over the same time while I had been with them, and even after, they had for years been the host broadcaster for the big bands that used to come through Hamilton. And just outside Hamilton is Burlington, a famous night spot, the Brant Inn.
Oh, big time.
So one of the announcers there would always headline, host the show with the big bands, and it would go coast to coast, not on radio CHML, but on the CBC radio network across Canada. And I hosted that for 4 years, and I worked with the bands of Duke Ellington and Johnny Mathis and Tommy Dorsey and Guy Lombardo, Count Basie, Stan Kenton, all of the big bands. Every Saturday night it was a half-hour broadcast, and I would introduce the band and the numbers in between, and I would take a date, and that's where I had my first date with my wife, actually, after I met her at CHML. So that went on for 4 years, and that really gave me a lift up. And then I became very serious. I want to talk to these artists and find out what they are like, what they've had to do to get where they are. And that was my main thrust in doing these kind of things. So at CKPC in Brantford, I was able to do that, and I got to be connected with the Mervishes in Toronto, the big theatrical producers. And I used to drive to Toronto every week, see the big live shows, do interviews, and then put them on the air. And that's how that all got started. And then, of course, at the same time, I was going to the Stratford Shakespearean Festival every summer and the Shaw Festival in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And so I started covering those venues, as well as major theaters and concert halls and outside of Toronto. I went to Los Angeles, Broadway, Paris, France, and this is where I was able to really develop the whole concept of what I wanted to do, was to interview these people, not because I'm after their celebrity status, but I was interested in them as their talent, because I would kill to be able to do that. As a matter of fact, during the interviews, I would say to the artists, I always ended up by saying, you know, you need me. And they'd look at me with a quizzical look. And I said, the reason you need me is because I appreciate what you do, because I would love to be able to do what you do, act, sing, conduct symphonies, that sort of thing. So I've been driven by a passion for the arts ever since I was a kid. Learning about opera, love opera as well, love musical theater, love plays, anything live. It's hard to explain, but it just grabs me. I feel the emotion. I get in emotional scenes. I'm tensed up. Tears are streaming, or I'm getting mad. I react that way because I love it so much. There's nothing better than anything live on stage, and particularly opera. Opera is the ultimate of anything live, simply because you're acting, yes, but there's the voice. You're acting with your voice, and so you're hitting those high notes. If you're a soprano, you're hitting the low notes. If you're a bass baritone or a tenor, that kind of thing. And that just thrills me. And how I learned about opera as a kid, I used to listen to the Metropolitan New York radio broadcasts every Saturday afternoon. I still do. Listen to the opera on the radio. That's how I learned about opera. So that went on, and then finally, in 1989, I had a call from CHCH Television. I had never, ever thought about television. I was always, I felt secure in radio. You're in a studio. You're with your operator. Eventually, you became your own operator as technology developed, and that's what happened to me. But I felt secure in there. Nobody looking at me. I don't like to be noticed. I'm not that way. My only love is what I do, no matter who's around me or whatever. Anyhow, CHCH Television called me. John Best, who I worked with, he was the news director at CHLO or CKPC FM in Brantford, and he called me after he had gone from there to be news director of CH Television News in Hamilton. And he said, Alex, he says, we're expanding the news and I want coverage of the arts. And he knew my work because I'd worked with him. He says, I always appreciated what you did. Come and try television. I said, John, I have no interest in television. I shun from the limelight. I have no interest in any of that. No, he says, I want you to come and try. He says, we're trying out a number of people, but you come and try. I said, well, I don't know what to do, but how to act on television and everything. He says, you set up an interview, and we'll supply the crew. So I did. Theatre Aquarius is the big theatrical company in Hamilton. They do marvelous work. And so I set up an interview with their marketing director, who I got to know, and she was very, very appreciative of what I did for her in mentioning stuff on the air of their productions. And he says, you just do the interview, look at it as if you're doing radio. Never mind anybody around you or the lights or anything. So they went, we set it up, and they put on makeup, they set up the lights, they had the sound guy there, they had the lighting guy there, they had the camera crew there, and I just did the interview with her, and as though it was a radio thing. Never heard anything for 3 weeks. Then I get a call from John. He says, Alex, he says, you're it. I said, well, John, I'm no good to be in front of a camera. I've always loved radio, and I feel safe and secure. Well, he says, you can learn, and by instinct, and we'll help you along. So I went in there and initially started with doing one story a week. Had to stand in front of a camera. Well, that just killed me, I'll tell you. And I'm still very uncomfortable. I don't like to be known. I am not in it for being a star or anything. I am there expounding on what I love to do and letting you, the viewer, the listener, know what it's like. But you go and see the show for yourself,
right,
and you form your own opinion. So that's how it started. Gradually it went to full-time, and I was there for 28 years doing that. And that's where it really exploded, even more than radio. And this is where it took me to L.A., and it went to New York, to Broadway. And
all right, we're going to have to do a bit of a cliffhanger here as we have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Alex, you, sir, are a gem of Canadian broadcasting. Exonation, my guest this hour, is somebody that I'm very proud to call my friend, Alex Reynolds. He is a former broadcaster in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and he has interviewed the who's who of the big band era as well as the giant silver screen and live theater. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as Alex and I continue talking about some of the greatest names in entertainment that he's ever talked to. And then we're going to talk about Alex's view on sci-fi. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. For more information on Alex Reynolds, visit his website, alexpeople.com. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light. Welcome back. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. You're listening to us on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, Simul Radio, and Simul TV. For more information on how you can watch the X Zone TV show on the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV, visit www.simultv.com. And now Simul TV and the X Zone TV channel are available on Roku. Alex Reynolds is my special guest to this hour. His website, alexpeople.com. 20-some-odd years at CHCH. Man, who are some of the people that you've interviewed over the years? Who are some of the most memorable people that you've talked to?
Well, there's quite a few of them, and here again, I appreciate their talent. And when I look back upon it, and even now when I'm still doing it, I marvel at the fact that this is happening to me. And the reason for that is because they can trust me. I'm not there to ask about their personal lives or anything like that. Or, I find that some of these interviews that you see on television, on the various shows, they're not clued into what these people can do. In other words, the question, where have you come from? How is it to play this character? Where are you going next? Well, I don't operate that way. I'm interested only in their talent. I don't care about their personal lives. And Harry Belafonte, I'm a great admirer of his, and I've met him every time since he's been coming to Toronto in 1961. And we've become friends. I was very happy to say. I'm looking at a painting that he gave me. There's only 4 in existence that he signed, and I've got it framed in my office at home. I'm very proud of that. And he and I, every time he has come to Hamilton, he used to fill Hamilton Place, 2,300 people for a week.
My goodness.
I love what he does in terms of his artistry, and also admire him as an activist for the black community. And I found out the reason why these people they take to me simply because they know they can trust me, and I'm not going to ask them anything embarrassing. I'm just after them for their talent, and we investigate that, and that's what I like very, very much. Some of the greatest ones are Lucio Pavarotti. He came to Hamilton, and they came from all over the world for his concert, and I was the only one allowed to interview him. And we had the camera crew at the hotel. We had in the Prime Minister's suite. walked in with our camera department, our camera crew, and there he is sitting with 20 people around him. Those were all his handlers. Now that, oh brother, what's this going to be like? He was nervous. And you think I wasn't nervous? I certainly was, but he was very, very amenable to talk and answer questions. But what was interesting after he answered any question, we had to stop shooting because now his makeup person will go and dab the sweat off him and that kind of thing, and he'd have to take a drink. And that was the most unusual thing because usually interviews are not interrupted, but he would stop them like that. So I have great memories about that sort of thing. And I remember talking to British acting royalty, Sir Ian Richardson, Sir Michael Redgrave, when they've been over here acting on stage. That was a great thrill for me as well, because I admire British actors enormously. Harrison Ford, I interviewed twice, and the very first time I interviewed him, he was here to promote the remake of Roman Holiday, a film that goes back a number of years prior to that. And I said to him, you know, I think this was an easy job for you. You could almost mail it in. I said, and I don't mean anything negative about that. It's just I thought it was kind of easy for you. Well, he got mad in the middle of the interview. And he started getting a little on the nasty side. I left that interview, that portion of it in the interview, just to show people what it was like. The next, his handlers, after the interview was over, came up and apologized on his behalf. I said, well, don't worry about it. Next time I met him, a year later, it was a different thing. He was right. He was very, very. I think he remembered me, and so he was very, very warm at that time. But I find actors, they are very insecure, and the only time that they feel at ease is when they're playing a character, because that's somebody else, that's something else. And so in interviews, they kind of tighten up and whatnot. You see on the television talk shows at night, they seem very, very at ease. Well, that's because the hosts are funny as well, and it's all inside stuff. But when you get them one-on-one with an interview, Gregory Peck was an instance. I met Gregory Peck when he was promoting the film that he won the Academy Award for, To Kill a Mockingbird. And he was very, very, very nervous. It wasn't a good interview because he was very nervous. He's very insecure, just one-on-one kind of thing. Victor Borga was a different matter altogether. You know how funny that guy was.
Yes, definitely.
Well, the first question I asked him, he just grabbed the microphone from my hand and he did shtick. And the whole interview was he was performing, and it was hilarious. I was on the floor. That I remember very, very, very well. And who else? There's a number. Mel Torme, the great singer. I've always admired him as a singer. I interviewed him a number of times. He sent me 2 of the books that he wrote and autographed for me. And I said to him, this would be in the 60s, and I said, Mel, it's too bad the generation today doesn't appreciate big bands. Today they're the rock groups and that kind of thing. He says, what happened? He says, Alex, he says, the big bands did not go away. The people did. And
True.
that's what happened. I was writing the liner notes for the Hamilton All-Star Jazz Band recording, and I mentioned that in the liner notes about it. And music is another thing that today's music I'm not in tune with. Well, I'm older. I'm from the big band era and have an appreciation still of that, and I'm a fan of the George Gershwin, Cole Porter, Irving Berlin, that kind of material. That kind of music is not being written today. I'm not denigrating the music that is out there now.
Just a different class for a different taste.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And I recognize the rock stars. they have talent. You know, the older crowd, they knock them and put them down, but they've got musical talent. There's no doubt. It's just the music is different than what they grew up with, what I grew up. So I do appreciate all of that kind of thing.
Now, I understand you interviewed Jamie Farr. Everybody knows Jamie Farr from MASH. What was
a number of times.
What was Jamie Farr like?
He was just a real prince. He came to Hamilton on 2 occasions to perform at Theatre Aquarius, which I thought was a feather in their cap. And we posed for pictures. I've got pictures of him and I, and he was just a warm individual all the way around and well liked by the theater goers in this town. I find that if you are respectful of them, they will open up to you. And sometimes to break down that door when you first meet them, they're nervous because they're not playing a character; they're being themselves. I try to open it up by doing something unusual and put them at their ease. One instance comes to mind when I first met Tom Cruise. I was ushered into the hotel room. We didn't even have to bring a camera crew. They had it all set up, his people and that kind of thing. I walked in. I was introduced to him. As you may recall, Rob, my trademark is an ascot I wear.
Yeah.
And I walked in with it. He was sitting in the chair at the other end of the room with an open shirt, no tie. So he got up and came over to me, and I shook my hand. Tom, how are you? I says, where the hell's your tie? Well, that broke the ice right there. He got roaring laughing, and that was, that was the ticket right there. Mel Brooks. You know what Mel Brooks said to me?
No.
He says, when we were introduced, I said, Mel, how are you, and that kind of thing, because I was nervous about him.
Right.
Because how big he is.
Yes.
He was in Toronto promoting the opening of the Toronto production of the big musical, The Producers. And we shook hands, and he said to me, may I call you Alex? And I thought, why would he say that to me? I'm the one that should say, do you mind if I call you Mel instead of Mr. Brooks? But he asked me. He says, may I call you Alex? And I was really taken by that. And we had one hell of a hilarious interview with him.
All right, stand by, Alex. You and I must take our final break for this hour. XZonation, for more information on our guest this hour, visit his website, alexpeople.com. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. Now, the X-Chronicles newspaper is available for one and all with our compliments online at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. Don't forget, you can always find out who, what, when, where, why about the X-Zone Broadcast Network at xzbn.net and the X-Zone TV channel on SimulTV at simultv.com. I'll be back after this short break. Don't go away. If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie, natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Elie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hides' life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
Alex Reynolds is our guest this hour. His website is alexpeople.com. First of all, Alex, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a great pleasure having you here on the X Zone. As I told you during the commercial break, I respect you not only as a friend, but I respect you as the professional that you are. And thank you for all the great work you've done over the years, bringing the true sense of entertainment to your viewers and your listeners.
I appreciate that very, very much. Coming from you, that means so very, very much, Rob. I remember our early days together at CHCH. Eh?
They were certainly some great times we had.
I know, right.
Let me ask you this. We talked about your meeting with Harrison Ford, let me see who else. Gregory Peck. We talked about Tom Cruise and of course Mel Brooks. But one more person I'd like to ask you about before I get your take on the sci-fi movies of today and your favorite sci-fi movies of all time. Jack Nicholson. What was Jack like?
I only met him once, and that was in Los Angeles. I was there for an opening of, I forget what the show was, and he was in attendance, and Well, he seems like a different kind of person. His persona on screen and what you read about. So we had maybe a 5-minute chat, and it was very, very pleasant. Maybe he's wary of the media and wants to put on a good act, but I just had an impression that he was really down to earth, and I did appreciate meeting him. I don't recall exactly what we said. I suppose it was just frivolities and that kind of thing. It was only fleeting because there were so many people there, and he had to meet a lot of people, so I was pleased that I was able to meet him. It's just another thing that I've always regretted. I'm a lifelong Frank Sinatra fan, and I've seen him live on numerous occasions, and I always wanted to talk to him. My idea was I wanted to sit him down and just let him talk about his career and about the music and everything, because I grew up in that era. And 3 or 4 times I got through to his personal secretary, but they would not let me talk to him.
No,
because, well, who am I? I'm not known. How important is Hamilton, Ontario, Canada to them? They're only interested in the New York Times, the Toronto Globe and Mail, the major media outlets across the country. And I explained to her, I said, I'm not after, he had a controversial life.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in him, and I wanted to talk to him, but no, I wasn't big enough for them. And that's a regret that I've always had, that I was not given that opportunity. But
that was their loss.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I like to kind of think that, but
all right, I'd like to ask.
My whole idea is to let you know what I love, and I'm letting you know about it. You go and see for yourself.
And very well done. You've done that over the years.
All right. Thank you.
Let me ask you 3 questions. Number 1, what is your all-time favorite movie?
Oh, that's funny. Well, yeah, obviously I gravitate to, say, The Wizard of Oz, and some of those from that era. But I have a great affection for a film called The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, a 1964 French film with Michel Legrand composing the music. Michel, of course, is a composer, a jazz pianist, and he won Oscars for his music and that and others. I was in New York for the premiere of that film, and what was so unusual about it is a most heart-rending love story, and it was all sung through as though it was an opera, and it was the most amazing film, and I've always liked that. He came to Hamilton many years later to guest conduct the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra over a weekend concert, so I was there to do an interview with him. I brought in the 2 cast albums of the music, and for him to sign for me.
Right.
And we did the interview, and I said, will you please, Michel, sign these? And he signed the first cast album, soundtrack album. And then I gave him the second one. There was more music from the film that was released later. And his eyes went wide. He says, what's this? He didn't even know that was available.
Oh, my goodness.
And he says, I don't have it. He says, I got to have this. I said, okay. This was on Friday night, his first concert. I said, I'll be here Sunday after your last concert, and I'll give it to you. My idea was I went back to the studios and had it recorded for my collection, and then I autographed the album itself and gave it to him on the Sunday afternoon after the concert. I always remember that. Another outstanding memory I have was Judy Garland. I met her the last year of her life, and it was such a sad situation. She was helped into the room. We sat and did an interview, and she was just not there. She was just really out of it, and that was so sad. It's a memory a bittersweet memory. Anyhow, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg has to be up there, but it is also on the shelf with Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind and all of those kind of films.
All of the great ones.
I always like films like that.
How about sci-fi? What is your take on sci-fi?
Well, I think the one I've been very impressed with over the years, and there are many of them, but I think at the top of the list has to be 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, big Arthur C. Clarke.
Yeah, a couple of reasons for that. I just thought Stanley Kubrick did one hell of a job in interpreting what could be. It was an imaginative thing. The second reason was, you remember HAL 9000?
Yes, yeah.
The computer that went bad on the ship?
Yes.
Well, that was voiced by Douglas Rain, a very famous Canadian, well, British, but lived in Canada, actor, a stage actor at the Stratford Festival, a Shakespearean actor with one of those authoritative voices. And he was the voice of HAL 9000. So I remember doing an interview with him about that kind of thing. And but that film, what comes to mind, Rob, for me immediately is the opening sequence with the apes when they throw up that one big bone.
Yes.
And it turns into the spaceship. I thought that was such a brilliant piece of film, and that's when the film took off. And just what that film had to say, I was very, very enthralled with it. And that goes back a long time, doesn't it? That was way before 2001. It was 1968 when that film came out. But the technology on that film, the CGI effects, such as they were at that time, were really something. Another film that I've always, not the film so much. Remember the War of the Worlds, 1953?
Yeah, yeah.
But my main interest, that the same source for that film was the same source that was used in the 1938 radio broadcast that scared the heck out of everybody.
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
Yeah.
And I always remember that, and that always stands out for me. Another one is The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original. Yes. I did not like the remake of the thing.
Yeah.
But The Day the Earth Stood Still, Klaatu and Gort.
Yep.
And Michael Rennie played, of course, the humanoid. And I met Michael Rennie just down where you used to live in that area. Remember the dinner theater outside St. Catharines?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, he performed there for 2 weeks in a play. And that's when I met him, and we did an interview with him there at that time. And I always remember that. I thought that film had a lot to say. Also, the appeal of it was because it was in black and white, which I thought fit the whole occasion or the attitude of that one would take with that film. Another one, well, you can't overlook Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I found what was happening, that was such... There was so much realism in that film about the possibility of how it could be.
And then again, another Canadian artist in that, Richard Dreyfuss.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I really, that film really stuck to me, and because there was a seriousness to it, there was great intelligence with that kind, and that was Steven Spielberg film. So obviously, what to expect from that kind of thing. And also, well, then you got to come up with E.T. Now, E.T. was for kids of all ages. Loved that film. Yeah. Haven't seen it in an awful long time, but I did like that film very much. There was so much heart to that film. You fell in love with this creature. Yeah. And you remember it was a E.T. phone home?
That's right.
Of thing. The imagination there is so prominent, and you actually felt as though, hey, this is quite possible, and then because I look up, I'm very fascinated by space. I think, how far out is up?
Good question.
I was in Florida and saw Pioneer 10 take off in 57, 58?
Mm-hmm.
And it's now out of our solar system, and they've lost contact with it, and it's still going out there. So
Alex,
how far is it going to go before someone finds it, or it lands somewhere? Who knows?
Alex, I hate to do this, my friend, but time has come up where you and I must say so long for this time. We're going to have you back on the show, no two ways about it. I want to
very much, and I appreciate this very, very much, Rob.
Alex,
thank you.
It is my great pleasure. Take care of yourself, my friend, and thank you for all you've done for entertainment, not only for the entertainers, but for also the entertainment viewers. Thank you, Alex.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Rob.
Bye-bye, sir. Exonation, for more information on our guest to this hour, Alex Reynolds, visit alexpeople.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.